Hello everyone, my name is Zirui Wang, and this is my partner Lola. We will be sharing our first-hand experience of visiting the Federal Court of Australia located in Sydney. As soon as I entered the ground doors of the Federal Court Australia, I could see a lot of barristers and people rushing, and a sense of formality could be seen. There was a big signboard wherein all the list of the hearing that would be conducted on that day was mentioned. Navigating through the board, I reached the assigned courtroom. This is a federal courtroom drama wherein criminal proceedings garnered the attention of all audience present. The case name was the Commonwealth of Australia, Medical Division, and it dealt with the allegation concerned corporate fraud and breach of director's duty. Mr. Division, as a defendant in the case, was accused of embezzlement of substantial funds, which also resulted in the breach of the director's duty. As I entered the assigned courtroom, there was a sense of formality and a well-structured sitting area, as seats were designed as per the role of the people involved in the proceedings. I also discovered that both plaintiff and the defendant stand beside each other facing the bench. Generally, on the left side, the party who files the case stands, and on the right side, the party against whom the case has been filed stands. As soon as the judge entered the court, I observed that every person sitting in the court along with the audience stood up as a matter of respect and honor. In addition to this, the clerk standing beside the judge also shouted, "All rise," making sure that the people who attended the proceedings for the first time also understood the courtroom ethics. Thereafter, once the judge was settled in, the clerk called the first matter, which was mentioned in the cause list, and the counsel on behalf of both the parties appeared and stood at their respective spots. Thereafter, the proceedings were initiated, and an appellant made an opening statement. On behalf of the prosecutor, senior counsel Isabel Connor rose up and addressed the court by saying, "Your Honor and the members of the jury present, the evidence that will be presented here will certainly prove that Mr. Division misused his position of trust and misappropriated millions of dollars for attaining his personal gains. The evidence that we will demonstrate will include bank statements, emails, and testimonies from different witnesses, which are not only held in form a part of race justice, but also will demonstrate his intention to deceive. To counter this, the defense counsel Mr. Davison's attorney Thomas Janney rose and stated in a more controversial tone. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the prosecution counsel paints my client as a criminal without even completion of the trial, and hence I request you all to consider possibilities of clerical error and misinterpretations. In addition to this, it is worth nothing that my client has given 20 years to, to this institution, which ipso facto demonstrate his integrity and a commitment towards said institution. Moreover, the evidence presented are purely circumstantial and hence should not be admissible. As the proceeding moved ahead, both counsels engaged in a heated argument, arguing and counter-arguing the application of legal provisions stated under Section 182 of the Corporations Act. Lastly, a case named Essex v. Vivance 2003 was also used by the prosecutor to support his count.
And besides the case above, we also went to the court in Parramatta, the local court in Parramatta, and that was our first time to do the court observation without our tutor. At first, we are really confused as several lawyers appeared consecutively without clear indication of the case they are representing. And then I realized that it was because there are multiple cases doing simultaneously. And after the observation, I did some research. There's actually the system called court list. And have you ever looked up for this page? We can find it in the official website or maybe some print one stick on the floor in the court. And if we take a close look at the details listed on the page, we can find that those circle one, they're actually held in the same room and with the same presiding officer and at the same time. So they are the case that will happen in the same time, and they are usually mentioned. And as for the time costing type, like breach or hearing, they will be set in the separate room. And these five cases are also being scheduled simultaneously. And when we look at the mention there about SDRO, which means the State Debit Recovery Office, and the party involved, like the PTY Ltd. It means proprietary limited, which means the company is privately owned and with limited liabilities. So these cases are actually about the debit. If we do have some research and notice these additional information listed on the page, we can have a better preparation for the observation, because we can do some research and search for the terminology. So the function of court lists for the translator and interpreter, and for our students when we're preparing for court observation, it can help us to understand case types and content, as well as the type of case, such as it was a criminal, civil, or it's about family laws. And more importantly, we can know some details of upcoming hearing and proceedings so that we can have a better understanding of the case we're going to dealing with. And the other case happened in the Supreme Court of New South Wales. And the background of the case is that the court had previously ordered the plaintiff to pay security for costs in the amount of 75K up until the close of pleadings and disclosure. However, a further application for security for costs was submitted by the defendants late last year, leading to an incomplete hearing. And the main point, the key points in this case is that the defendants had not yet provided evidence of their expenditure. And the court then suggested that the case should be mediated. And the evidence provided by the defendant related to prosecution is a central issue in the civil proceedings. So the court decided to temporarily pause the civil proceedings until further notice. And this made me think of a question: why the outcome of criminal proceedings can directly affect the procedure of civil proceedings? And the reasons is as following. First is the legal liability. The outcome of criminal proceedings can determine whether the defendant is guilty or not, and this judgment can directly influence the determination of legal liability in civil proceedings. And in some cases, evidence from criminal proceedings may be shared with civil proceedings and vice versa. For example, if someone is criminally charged with theft, a guilty verdict in the criminal case can directly impact the compensation claim in civil proceedings, and victim can use the criminal verdict as evidence to support their claim for compensation. And all in all, what we have learned during the court observation first is how to utilize the court list provided by the authority and can help us to better understand the whole case. And also we can learn some detailed but very important and basic legal knowledge like the criminal proceeding and the civil proceeding.
After coming back from the courtroom and examining the behavior of counsels and the judges, we garnered valuable information about the courtroom ethics and the way proceedings and conducted. One of the important things which I discovered that the judge acted as an impartial umpire which carefully examined the demeanor of the parties as well as statements presented by them. In addition to this, the way the judge acted also reflected upon the fundamental principles of equality, justice, impartiality, and fairness. On the other hand, the lawyers presented the case in a professional manner, respecting the rights and dignity of their client. Thus, I was able to examine the profound relationship between the bar and the bench in terms of adhering courtroom ethics. Thank you.